There's a safe found in Jeffrey Epstein's Manhattan mansion. Inside, photographs, explicit photographs of young girls. The New York Times reported it in 2019. The FBI seized it, cataloged it, locked it away. And now, years later, a congressman asks the FBI director a simple question. Did you look at what's inside? The director's answer, I don't know. The head of the most powerful investigative agency in the world doesn't know if his agents examined evidence in the most high-profile criminal case of the decade. But it gets worse. There's video testimony. From author Michael Wolff. He claims Jeffrey Epstein showed him Polaroids, photographs of Donald Trump with young girls, underage girls. The congressman asks, did you interview this witness? The director, I don't know. Did you subpoena Epstein's estate for evidence? I don't know. Did you review all available materials? I don't know. 3 words. Repeated like a mantra, like a shield, like a confession. What you're about to witness isn't just bureaucratic incompetence. It's something far more sinister. The systematic burial of evidence that could implicate some of the most powerful people in America. And the FBI director sitting in front of Congress claiming ignorance while the whole world watches. Stay with me. Because what happens in this hearing will make you question everything you thought you knew about justice in America.
Again, sir, I'll accept your representation. I don't know.
Thank you. It was all over the media at the time. There's a New York Times article that says Jeffrey Epstein is indicted on sex charges as discovery of nude photos is disclosed, dated July 8th, 2019. And the Times reports a trove of lewd photographs of girls was discovered in a safe inside financier Jeffrey Epstein's Manhattan mansion. Author Michael Wolff has conducted numerous interviews of Jeffrey Epstein. I'm going to play for you a video clip of what Michael Wolff said Epstein told him was in the safe and what he showed the author was in this safe. So let's please play that clip now.
Elected. And I was sitting talking to Epstein, and he said, wait a minute, I got to show you something. And then he went into his safe, and he came out with photographs. They were Polaroids, I think, and he kind of spread them out like playing cards, and it was Trump. I mean, I think there were a dozen of them, and it was Trump with girls of an uncertain age at Epstein's Palm Beach house, where all of the things that he would ultimately be accused of took place. And I remember very vividly 3 of them. There are 2 in which Trump is, the girls, topless girls, are sitting on Trump's lap. And then a 3rd in which he has a stain on the front of his pants. And the girls are kind of pointing at it, sort of bent over, laughing.
So Director Patel, I'm going to ask you a very broad and general question. As you know, Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein were friends. There are, of course, photos showing Donald Trump together with Epstein, correct?
I don't have the entirety of the photographs, but I think they've been photographed in public together.
All right. Are there any photos showing Donald Trump with girls of an uncertain age?
No.
How do you know that?
Because that information would have been brought to light by multiple administrations and FBI investigators over the course of the last 20 years.
Well, you know what? That's just not true, because no one knew about the creepy birthday message that Donald Trump wrote to Jeffrey Epstein until the Wall Street Journal disclosed it, and then all of a sudden, the Epstein estate provides it to Congress.
Well,
so certainly, you weren't there at the search. You don't know what Epstein may or may not have done with those photographs even prior to the search. Maybe someone has it. Maybe the Epstein estate has it.
You raise a great point.
So I'm going to ask you, have you asked to talk to Michael Wolff?
You raise a great point. I haven't personally asked to talk to Michael Wolff.
Has the FBI asked?
But the FBI, I'll get back to you if the FBI specifically
so Michael
asked
has
ever.
About 100 hours of testimony of Jeffrey Epstein. Wouldn't it be good for the FBI to interview Michael Wolff?
I'm not saying they haven't. I just don't know.
Has FBI subpoenaed the tapes that Michael Wolff has conducted of Jeffrey Epstein?
I don't know.
All right. So if you could provide us an answer, that would be terrific.
Sure.
Well, let me ask you this question then. Have you looked at all the photos in Epstein files?
I have looked at all the information that the investigators who investigated this case have provided to run out credible leads.
And in the Epstein files, was there that creepy birthday message that Donald Trump had written to Epstein?
No, that's what I was trying to tell you. You raise a great point. The estate of Jeffrey Epstein has a voluminous amount of information that they have not released before.
Okay, so that's great. So Wouldn't it be great if FBI subpoenaed the estate of Jeffrey Epstein for all that information?
The estate is under no obligation to provide that material, even pursuant to a subpoena. That's a great point.
Yeah, that's just false.
Okay.
That's just false. You're the frickin' FBI. You can subpoena the information from the estate, and you better do that. I'd like
That's
to move
literally
on.
not how it works.
I'm going to move on now and talk about Epstein's client list. You confirmed that it exists. Attorney General Pam Bondi confirmed earlier this year that it exists. So I just want to ask you a simple question. Is Prince Andrew on Epstein's client list?
The material related to Prince Andrew has been made public.
Is Prince Andrew on the client list?
We have released the index of names
All right,
that were in Jeffrey Epstein's.
Is Donald Trump on Epstein's client list?
The index?
To understand the explosion that's coming, you need to understand who's asking the questions. Representative Ted Lieu, former Air Force prosecutor, constitutional law expert, someone who's spent years holding power accountable. He's not known for theatrics. He's known for precision, for doing his homework, for asking questions he already knows the answers to, just to see if officials will lie under oath. And sitting across from him, FBI Director Patel, appointed with controversy, questioned about his qualifications. Now, facing his biggest test, this is supposed to be a routine oversight hearing. Budget discussions. Operational updates. The usual Washington theater, but Lieu has other plans. He's going to ask about something the FBI desperately wants everyone to forget. Jeffrey Epstein's safe. And what's inside it. The room is packed. Cameras everywhere. Other members of Congress watching closely, because everyone knows Epstein's name. Everyone knows what he represented. And everyone suspects there's more to the story than what we've been told. Lieu shuffles his papers, looks directly at Patel, and begins. Director Patel, are you familiar with the evidence seized from Jeffrey Epstein's Manhattan residence in July 2019? Patel nods. Yes, generally. Are you aware that the FBI found a safe in that residence? Yes. Are you aware of what was inside that safe? Patel hesitates. I would need to review the specific inventory. Let me help you. Lieu pulls out a document. This is from the New York Times, August 2019. I'll read the relevant portion. Investigators discovered a trove of photographs of young girls, some explicit, stored in a locked safe. The images were cataloged as evidence in the federal investigation. Lieu looks up. Director Patel, did the FBI review those photographs? The question hangs in the air. It seems straightforward. Evidence was seized. Was it examined? But Patel doesn't answer. Not directly. Senator, I would need to consult with the investigative team to confirm the exact procedures followed. That's not what I asked. Did your agency look at evidence in the safe? Yes or no? I don't know. 3 words. But they detonate like a bomb. Because they're impossible to believe. The FBI director doesn't know if his agents examined photographic evidence in the biggest sex trafficking case in modern American history. Lieu isn't done. He presses harder. Director, these weren't vacation photos. These were explicit images of minors, found in the possession of a convicted sex offender. In a safe, locked, hidden. That's evidence of serious federal crimes. Child exploitation, sex trafficking, conspiracy. So let me ask again, did the FBI forensically analyze those photographs? Did you identify the victims? Did you attempt to locate them? Did you offer them services? Basic investigative steps, the kind covered in week 1 of FBI training. Patel shifts uncomfortably. Representative Lieu, I understand your concerns, but there are ongoing legal proceedings that limit what I can discuss. No, that excuse doesn't work anymore. Jeffrey Epstein is dead. Ghislaine Maxwell is in prison. The criminal trials are over. What ongoing proceedings prevent you from telling Congress whether you looked at evidence? Patel mumbles something about civil litigation, privacy concerns, investigative techniques, all the usual bureaucratic shields, the ones officials hide behind when they don't want to answer, but Lieu isn't accepting it. Because this isn't about protecting investigation. It's about protecting someone. And everyone watching suspects, they know who. Director Patel, I'm going to accept your representation that you don't know, but I'm deeply troubled that the head of the FBI doesn't know basic facts about one of the most important investigations in agency history. The sarcasm is cutting. Because accept your representation is legal speak for, I think you're lying, but I can't prove it yet. Then Lieu drops the bomb, the one Patel clearly wasn't expecting. Director, are you familiar with author Michael Wolff? Patel looks confused. The name sounds familiar, but the context isn't clear. Michael Wolff wrote several books about Donald Trump, Fire and Fury, Siege, Landslide. Patel nods slowly. Yes, I'm aware of Mr. Wolff. Are you aware that Mr. Wolff gave video testimony claiming Jeffrey Epstein showed him photographs of Donald Trump with young girls? The room goes silent. This isn't in the news cycle. This isn't public knowledge. Where did Lieu get this? Patel's face goes carefully blank. I'm not familiar with that specific claim. Let me show you. Lieu signals to staff. The screen lights up. Video begins to play. Michael Wolff appears, speaking to an interviewer. His words are measured but devastating. Epstein showed me photographs, Polaroids. He was proud of them. They showed Trump with girls, young girls. He said Trump used to visit frequently in the 90s. The video stops. Liu looks at Patel director. Has the FBI interviewed Michael Wolff about this testimony? I don't know. Have you attempted to obtain these photographs he references? I don't know. Have you investigated whether Donald Trump appears in any materials seized from Epstein's residence? Representative Liu, I can't comment on individuals. That's not an answer. That's an evasion. Liu shifts tactics. He's building a case. Not just about what wasn't done, about what could be done right now. Director Patel, the FBI has subpoena power, correct? Yes, in certain circumstances. You can compel witnesses to testify. Under appropriate legal authority? Yes. You can compel production of documents and physical evidence. Again, under appropriate circumstances. So you could subpoena Michael Wolff to produce any photographs or evidence he has related to Jeffrey Epstein. That would depend on whether there's an active investigation, and there should be an active investigation. Liu's voice rises. We have witness testimony claiming evidence exists, evidence of potential federal crimes. And you're sitting here saying you don't know if anyone has followed up? This is basic law enforcement work, Director. Someone says they have evidence of a crime. You interview them. You obtain the evidence. You investigate, unless you don't want to know what the evidence shows. Patel bristles. Representative, I resent the implication. Then prove me wrong. Commit right now to interviewing Michael Wolff, to obtaining any evidence he has, to fully investigating these claims. Patel hesitates. I will take that under advisement. Under advisement. The classic bureaucratic brush-off. The phrase officials use when they plan to do nothing but want to sound cooperative. Liu isn't having it. No, not under advisement. Will you do it? Yes or no? Senator, these are complex matters that require. They're not complex. Either you investigate credible allegations, or you don't. What's complex about that? Liu continues building his case, moving systematically through what should have been done. Director Patel, when Jeffrey Epstein died, his estate entered probate. Correct? I believe so, yes. That estate includes all of his properties. His homes, his private island, his personal possessions. Presumably, yes, including any photographs, videos, documents, or other materials that might be evidence of crimes. That would be part of the estate. Yes. So has the FBI subpoenaed the Epstein estate for all evidentiary materials? Patel looks uncomfortable. That's not typically how estate proceedings work. Liu explodes. You're the FBI. You don't wait for estate proceedings. You subpoena the information, and you better do that. The outburst is calculated. Liu knows exactly what he's doing. He's showing the absurdity of Patel's excuses. The FBI doesn't investigate crimes based on what's convenient. They investigate based on evidence. And when evidence might be disappearing into probate proceedings, you act. But Patel keeps deflecting. Representative, there are legal complexities around privacy, civil litigation, and stop. Just stop. Liu holds up his hand. Every time I ask if you've done basic investigative work, you hide behind legal complexities. But the law is clear. When there's evidence of federal crimes, the FBI can and should obtain it. Period. So, one more time. Will you subpoena the Epstein estate for all potentially relevant materials? I will consult with our legal team. That's not an answer. Then Liu goes for the question everyone wants answered. The one that's been circulating in conspiracy theories and legitimate journalism alike. Director Patel, does the FBI have Jeffrey Epstein's client list? The phrase hangs in the air. The client list, the names of everyone who used Epstein's services, who visited his island, who traveled on his plane, who participated in his operation. Patel chooses his words carefully. We have investigative materials that include various names and contacts associated with Mr. Epstein. That's not what I asked. Do you have a list of his clients? The term client list isn't necessarily accurate to describe. Fine, let me be specific. Do you have records showing who visited Epstein's properties? Who flew on his planes? Who paid him money? Who received services from him? We have various records, yes. And have you investigated everyone on those records? Patel shifts. We've investigated credible allegations of criminal conduct. That's a dodge. Liu knows it. Everyone watching knows it. Director, let me ask you about specific names. Does Donald Trump appear in Epstein's records? I cannot comment on specific individuals. Does Prince Andrew appear? I cannot comment on specific individuals. Does Bill Clinton appear? Same answer, Representative. So you have records with names. But you won't tell Congress who's on them or whether you've investigated those people? There are privacy considerations. And privacy? Liu's voice drips with contempt. We're talking about potential victims of sex trafficking, about possible participants in those crimes. And you're worried about privacy? Liu pivots to another angle, because he's done his homework. He knows about the sealed court documents. Director Patel and the civil litigation involving Virginia Giuffre and Ghislaine Maxwell. The court sealed hundreds of pages of documents. Documents that allegedly contain names of Epstein associates. Are you familiar with these sealed filings? I'm generally aware, yes. Has the FBI obtained those documents? Patel hesitates. Civil court records are generally accessible through proper channels. That's not what I asked. Do you have them? I believe our agents have accessed relevant court materials. Have you reviewed them? I personally have not reviewed every document in the case file. That's fine. Has someone at the FBI reviewed them? I would assume so. You would assume. Lou repeats the phrase slowly. The FBI director assumes his agency has reviewed critical evidence in a major criminal investigation. Do you see how that sounds? Do you understand why the American people might have concerns? Patel has no good answer. Because there isn't one. Either the FBI has thoroughly investigated Epstein's network and won't tell Congress what they found, or they haven't investigated thoroughly and are covering up that failure. Neither option inspires confidence. Lou takes a step back. He's about to articulate what everyone's thinking, but few are saying. Director Patel, I want to talk about something bigger than any specific question I've asked today. I want to talk about accountability. Jeffrey Epstein operated a sex trafficking ring for decades. He abused countless young girls. He facilitated abuse by others. He documented it all, and when he was finally arrested, when the evidence was finally seized, when justice finally seemed possible, he died. Under suspicious circumstances. In federal custody? That should have been the beginning of accountability, not the end, because Epstein didn't operate alone. We know that. The evidence proves that, but instead of pursuing that evidence wherever it leads, the FBI seems more interested in protecting powerful people than protecting victims. Every question I ask, you hide behind procedure, behind privacy laws, behind ongoing litigation, behind legal complexity. But none of those are real obstacles. They're excuses. Shields you hide behind to avoid doing what justice demands. Patel tries to interrupt. Representative, I assure you the FBI takes all allegations seriously. Do you? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you're taking powerful people seriously. Their privacy, their reputations, their desire not to be investigated, the victims, they don't get that consideration. They get told to wait, to be patient, to trust the process. Well, the process has failed them, and you're failing them right now. Liu digs into the specific legal excuses Patel has been using. Because he's a lawyer, he knows these excuses are hollow. Director, you keep mentioning privacy laws. Let me be clear about what privacy protections actually say. Privacy laws protect innocent people from having their personal information exposed without cause. They don't protect criminals from investigation. They don't prevent law enforcement from obtaining evidence. When you say you can't tell me whether Donald Trump or Prince Andrew appear in Epstein's records because of privacy concerns, that's not a legal requirement. That's a choice. You could tell me. You could tell Congress. You could tell the American people. The law doesn't prevent that. What prevents it is political calculation. The decision that it's safer to hide behind procedure than to be transparent. Same with the sealed court documents. Yes, they're sealed, but the FBI isn't bound by civil court seal orders. You're a law enforcement agency investigating federal crimes. You can access sealed materials. You can use them in criminal investigations, but again, you choose not to. Or you choose not to tell us if you have, which amounts to the same thing in the estate subpoenas. You claim it's complicated. It's not. Estates don't have privacy rights that supersede criminal investigation. The executor can't refuse a lawful subpoena just because releasing evidence would be embarrassing to powerful people. So every excuse you've given today, it's a choice, not a legal requirement. Liu's voice softens. Because this isn't just about catching Patel in evasions. It's about the people who were harmed. Director Patel, I want you to think about the victims. The young girls in those photographs. The ones Jeffrey Epstein abused. Some of them are adults now. They've spent years trying to heal, trying to move forward, trying to believe that justice matters. And every time you say, I don't know, to basic questions about the investigation, you tell them your pain doesn't matter. Your trauma isn't important enough for the FBI director to know basic facts. Every time you hide behind legal technicalities, you tell them protecting powerful people is more important than protecting you. Every time you refuse to commit to obvious investigative steps, you tell them we're not actually trying to get justice for you. These were children. They were vulnerable. They were exploited by people who thought they were above the law. And right now, you're proving those people right. You're showing them that power does protect you from accountability. That having the right connections means investigations disappear. That evidence gets buried. Is that really the message you want to send? Patel looks uncomfortable. Representative, I understand the sensitivity of these matters. No, you clearly don't. Because if you did, you wouldn't be sitting here claiming ignorance about whether your agency has done basic investigative work. You'd know. And you'd tell us, because that's what accountability looks like. Liu now states what he's been building to, the accusation that hangs over this entire exchange. Director Patel, I'm going to say something that I know will be controversial. But I believe it's true, and the American people deserve to hear it. This isn't incompetence. This isn't bureaucratic confusion. This isn't legal complexity. This is a cover-up, Maybe not a coordinated conspiracy. Maybe not a smoke-filled room where people explicitly decided to bury evidence, but a cover-up nonetheless. A systematic effort to avoid investigating certain people, to avoid following certain leads, to avoid asking questions that might have uncomfortable answers, and you're participating in it. Maybe not intentionally. Maybe you genuinely believe you're following proper procedure, but the effect is the same. Evidence that could implicate powerful people goes unexamined. Witnesses go uninterviewed. Victims go without justice, all while the FBI maintains plausible deniability. All while you sit here saying, I don't know, and I'll have to check, and it's complicated. That's how cover-ups work in the modern era. Not through destruction of evidence, but through studied ignorance. Not through explicit orders to stand down, but through a culture that discourages asking hard questions. And you're the face of it right now. Patel's response is weak. Representative, I strongly disagree with your characterization. Of course you do. Because admitting it would mean admitting you're part of the problem. Liu now states what he's been building to, the accusation that hangs over this entire exchange. Director Patel, I'm going to say something that I know will be controversial. But I believe it's true, and the American people deserve to hear it. This isn't incompetence. This isn't bureaucratic confusion. This isn't legal complexity. This is a cover-up, maybe not a coordinated conspiracy. Maybe not a smoke-filled room where people explicitly decided to bury evidence, but a cover-up nonetheless. A systematic effort to avoid investigating certain people, to avoid following certain leads, to avoid asking questions that might have uncomfortable answers, and you're participating in it. Maybe not intentionally. Maybe you genuinely believe you're following proper procedure, but the effect is the same. Evidence that could implicate powerful people goes unexamined. Witnesses go uninterviewed. Victims go without justice, all while the FBI maintains plausible deniability. All while you sit here saying, I don't know, and I'll have to check, and it's complicated. That's how cover-ups work in the modern era. Not through destruction of evidence, but through studied ignorance. Not through explicit orders to stand down, but through a culture that discourages asking hard questions. And you're the face of it right now. Patel's response is weak. Representative, I strongly disagree with your characterization. Of course you do. Because admitting it would mean admitting you're part of the problem. Liu transitions to his closing argument. And he uses the safe as a symbol. Director Patel, let's go back to where we started. The safe, found in Jeffrey Epstein's mansion, containing photographs of young girls. That safe has become a metaphor for everything wrong with how this investigation has been handled. Because we all know there's evidence in that safe. Evidence of crimes. Evidence that could lead to more arrests. Evidence that victims deserve to see brought to light. But the safe stays closed. Or rather, it's technically open. The FBI has the contents, but they might as well be locked away, because nobody will tell us what's being done with them. The safe represents institutional silence. The decision by people in power to keep secrets rather than seek truth. And your testimony today has been an exercise in keeping that safe locked. Every, I don't know, every, I can't comment, every deflection behind procedure and privacy and complexity, you're protecting the safe. And by extension, you're protecting whoever might be implicated by what's inside it. That safe needs to be opened. Not just physically, it already is, but publicly. The American people need to know what was found, who's been investigated, what charges have been considered. Will you commit to that transparency? Patel's answer is predictable. I'm committed to following all appropriate legal and investigative protocols. In other words, no. The safe stays closed. The secrets stay secret. The powerful stay protected, and the victims stay forgotten. Liu concludes with a call to action, not just to Patel, but to everyone watching. Director Patel, I want to be clear. This isn't the end of my questions. This is the beginning. I will be submitting formal requests for information. I will be asking for briefings. I will be using every tool available to congressional oversight to get answers, because the American people deserve them. The victims deserve them. Justice demands them, and I encourage my colleagues to do the same. This shouldn't be a partisan issue. This should be something every member of Congress cares about, regardless of party. We're talking about children who were abused, about a criminal network that operated for decades, about evidence that could bring accountability. If we can't unite around that, what can we unite around? But I also want to speak directly to the American people watching this, because congressional oversight only works if you're paying attention. Make noise about this. Call your representatives. Demand transparency. Don't let this story disappear into the news cycle, because that's what people in power are counting on. They're counting on you getting tired, getting distracted. Moving on to the next outrage, don't give them that satisfaction. Keep asking questions. Keep demanding answers. Keep the pressure on. Truth only surfaces when people insist on it. When they refuse to accept bureaucratic stonewalling. When they make it clear that some things matter more than political convenience. This is one of those things. But this isn't just about Jeffrey Epstein. Liu makes that clear as he winds down. Director Patel, the Epstein case is particularly egregious because of the scope of abuse and the profile of those involved. But it's not unique. We see this pattern repeatedly. Powerful people commit crimes. Evidence exists. Victims come forward. And then investigations stall. Evidence goes missing. Witnesses aren't interviewed. Cases quietly close, and officials like you sit before Congress and claim ignorance, or hide behind procedure, or suggest that accountability is just too complicated. It's not too complicated. It's inconvenient. There's a difference. And as long as we accept these excuses, as long as we let officials deflect and dodge and delay, the pattern continues. The message to powerful people remains, you can get away with it. As long as you have the right connections. As long as you can wait out the news cycle. As long as investigators are more afraid of political consequences than committed to finding truth, that has to change. And it starts with moments like this, where someone asks hard questions, where evasions are called out, where the public sees clearly who's committed to justice and who's committed to protecting power. I hope you'll reflect on which side of that line you're on, Director Patel, because history will judge, and these transcripts will remain. Let's be clear about what we learned from this hearing. Not speculation, facts. 1, the FBI director doesn't know basic details about evidence in the Epstein investigation, or he knows and won't tell Congress. Either answer is unacceptable. 2, the FBI hasn't interviewed key witnesses, or they have and won't tell Congress. Again, both options are problems. 3, the FBI hasn't fully subpoenaed relevant evidence, or they have and won't tell Congress. Same issue. 4, there are records with names of Epstein associates, but we're not allowed to know who's on them or whether they've been investigated. 5, court documents exist with potentially crucial information, but they're sealed and the FBI won't confirm what they've done with them. 6, every attempt to get straight answers resulted in deflection, evasion, or claims of ignorance. These aren't conclusions. These are observable facts from the hearing transcript, and they add up to a picture of an investigation that either hasn't been conducted properly or is being actively concealed from oversight. Neither scenario should be acceptable to anyone who cares about justice. Let's end by centering the people who matter most. The survivors. Imagine you were abused by Jeffrey Epstein. As a child, you had no power, no resources, no way to fight back. Years later, your abuser is finally arrested. Evidence is finally seized. Justice finally seems possible, but then he dies. And the investigation that should have exposed everyone involved just stops, or slows, or continues in secret with no transparency. And when a congressman asks the FBI director about basic investigative steps, the answer is, I don't know. How would that feel? To know that evidence of your abuse exists? That photographs documenting what happened to you are in FBI custody, but nobody can tell you if they've even been looked at? To know that other powerful people might have been involved in your abuse. But investigations into them are apparently too complicated, or politically sensitive, or whatever excuse officials are using today to watch a congressional hearing where the head of the FBI admits he doesn't know if basic investigative work has been done, and nothing happens. No consequences. No accountability. Just more waiting. That's the reality for Epstein's victims. And Lou is one of the few people in power willing to say it out loud. That alone makes this hearing significant. So what needs to happen now? First, the FBI must conduct a comprehensive investigation into everyone associated with Jeffrey Epstein. No exceptions based on wealth or power or political connections. Second, Congress must exercise real oversight. Not just one hearing where officials evade questions. Sustained pressure, subpoenas, contempt citations if necessary. Third, sealed court documents relevant to criminal investigation must be unsealed. The public has a right to know what evidence exists. Fourth, Michael Wolff and any other witnesses claiming to have evidence must be interviewed under oath. Their testimony must be evaluated. Any evidence they have must be obtained. Fifth, the Epstein estate must be fully subpoenaed. Every document, every photograph, every record. If executors resist, they should be held in contempt. Sixth, the FBI must publicly account for what they've done and haven't done in this investigation. A detailed timeline. What evidence was examined? What leads were followed? What decisions were made and why? And seventh, if Director Patel continues to claim ignorance about basic facts, he should be replaced with someone who will take the job seriously. These aren't radical demands. They're basic expectations of law enforcement in a functioning democracy. Representative Ted Lieu asked questions that needed asking. He pushed back on evasions that needed pushing back on. He refused to accept bureaucratic deflection as an adequate answer. FBI Director Kash Patel revealed either incompetence or complicity. Either he doesn't know basic facts about a critical investigation, or he does know and won't tell Congress. Neither is acceptable. Both demand action. The safe is still locked. Metaphorically, if not literally, evidence exists but remains hidden from public view. Victims wait for justice that may never come. Powerful people breathe easier knowing investigations have stalled. But truth has a way of surfacing, especially when people like Ted Lieu keep asking questions. When survivors keep speaking out, when the public keeps demanding answers, this hearing won't be the end. It can't be. There's too much at stake. Too many victims deserving justice. Too much evidence demanding investigation. The question is whether we'll maintain pressure, whether we'll accept deflection and delay, whether we'll let this story fade, or whether we'll insist that no one is above the law. That evidence must be followed wherever it leads. That victims matter more than protecting powerful people. Thank you for watching. Share this video. Talk about it. Contact your representatives. Don't let this story disappear, because that safe, it needs to stay open, and everything inside it needs to see the light of day. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and above all, demand justice.